So I wanted to use the scripture, Acts 12, just as a brief example of what is it that the word is trying to teach us when things get out of control. Herod's violence to the church. And we're going to be reading all the way up to verse 5. It says, "Now about the time Herod the king stretched out his hand to harass the church, then he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to seize Peter also. Now it was during the days of unleavened bread. So when he had arrested him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 squads of soldiers to keep him, intending to bring him before the people after the Passover. Peter was therefore kept in prison, but constant prayer was offered to God for him by the church." So I wanted to stop here because I wanted to point out that Peter and the church had fallen into a circumstance that was way beyond their control. King Herod wanted to harass the church, and at that time, preaching the gospel was a death sentence. Something that caught my attention in the scripture was that the church had fallen into a situation where they couldn't do anything to help Peter. The church didn't know or didn't have the capabilities to take the king to war. The gospel was a message of love and peace, not a message of war. So the followers of Christ had no way to intervene. So what did the church do? In verse 5, we can see that the church offered prayer to God for Peter. Peter was in constant prayer, and they turned the circumstance over to God. How many of us can truly say that we turn in our circumstances to God 100%? Most of the time, in the middle of our circumstances, we forget about God. We look for help in other places, and we tend to leave God last. But the church did not do that. The church knew exactly what is it that they had to do, and they prayed for God's direction, and they provoked God to take control of something that was just out of their control.